Hello, welcome to a dumb video where I attempt to theorize about how to survive the most unsurvivable scenarios based off the SCP lore. This will cover 5 SCPs, starting off with the ones that will be the most survivable. And as the list continues, it will be much harder to survive and will require more foresight and planning than a typical civilian would have. However, I'm trying to keep it down to objects that you would be able to make yourself or have around with ease. So no fucking nukes. Don't even begin to offer that as a solution. We're not fucking China, we're sleep-deprived gamers. Along with that, this is all fiction based off the SCP lore. Do not fucking attempt to do any of this shit in real life. If you do, don't say it was me who told you. The background gameplay is of the game SCP Pandemic, and I will be overlaying images that I found on Google along with just shitty MS Paint drawings that I made myself. Starting off with SCP-173, by far one of the most easily survivable out of all of these. If you die to this one, it is no one's fault but your own. Not gonna lie, he's got a nice... This is one of the more frequently occurring enemies in the game SCP Containment Breach, following similar rules to the Weeping Angels in Doctor Who. SCP-173 will only move if you break direct line of sight with them. Once you do, it will move at a breakneck speed, well, to break your neck. The solution to surviving this thing is incredibly simple, and that is to blink one eye at a fucking time! It will only move if you break line of sight, so don't. You can move your eyes independently, so do it. If you only have one eye, you're a little bit more screwed, and my best suggestion is to impersonate a YouTube apology and use fake tears. While maintaining eye contact, back up and round corners until it's lost track of you, and then run. That's really all it should take to get rid of this thing. Moving on, we have SCP-280, also known as Eyes in the Dark. This SCP will utilize dark areas to sneak up on you and brutally mutilate you, its main weakness being light. The solution to surviving this thing is also relatively simple, though a bit more difficult than the statue which we previously talked about. Traveling exclusively during the day and keeping a flashlight on you should be enough to protect you. Inside your home, keep all lights on at all times. In a situation where you need to travel at night, bring a high lumen flashlight with you along with a standard flashlight. A strong flashlight will be enough to keep the area around you illuminated, and in a situation where direct confrontation happens, use the second flashlight and train it on the SCP to keep it at bay. When you are traveling at night, it is most preferable to travel in a newly made car, so that you can have full internal lighting. All you will need to do is use the flashlights to get to your car, get in, turn on all the lights inside, and you should be relatively safe. However, you should really only be traveling during the day, and leaving is only advised during an extreme emergency. Now we have SCP-973-2 and SCP-973-1. SCP-973-1 is the car chasing you, also known as the Phantom Cruiser, and SCP-973-2 is known as Smokey. They take the appearance of a police officer from the 1970s and haunts the stretch of road. The SCP will materialize once the driver surpasses a certain speed limit, however the exact speed isn't fully known. It will begin to chase you in its vehicle, at first attempting to bait you by appearing as a police officer. If you do not pull over, it will engage in a car chase, attempting to run you off the road while taking control over your radio to shout haunting messages at you. Once your car is totaled, or you pull over, they will stop behind you, get out of their vehicle, and approach you. At first he appears to be a normal man in his 40s, wearing dark aviator sunglasses with a handlebar mustache. However, once it gets close to you, it will remove its sunglasses revealing red eyes, and open its mouth to an inhuman degree. What happens next isn't fully known, however it's said that it's slow and torturous. The car that is driven is in a severe state of disrepair, being from the 70s. It has severe damage and rust coating the thing, along with numerous dents, supposedly from ramming people off the road. However, what this shows is that the car can be damaged, which is where I come in. First off, the most obvious solution is just to avoid the stretch of road the SCP haunts. However, the exact road changes, so you may get snuck up on. A direct confrontation with Smokey himself is unsurvivable, as he possesses inhuman strength and will tear you limb from limb, enjoying your suffering. My idea to survive this is a bit complicated, so hear me out. First off, you should be driving a Suburban, preferably the full-size ones and not a Yukon. Suburbans are incredibly heavy while also being absurdly durable. In a car wreck, more damage is done to the other car while the Suburban gets off with a slight dent. Due to its weight, it will be easier to maintain traction with the road despite being rammed. Along with that, the trunk is easily accessible from the inside of the vehicle. For this to work, you would need at least 2 people in the vehicle, one driving while the other hops into the trunk by climbing over the bench seats. Either open the doors of the trunk, or break out the back window to be able to access the road. At this point, you will want to take anything you can to damage the Phantom Cruiser to hopefully slow it down and give you a chance to get off the haunted stretch of road. If you have a box of nails or screws, dump them out the back of the Suburban, preferably in a slow side-to-side motion to get as much of the road covered in them. Hopefully this will explode the tires and either slow the Phantom Cruiser down, or entirely disable it for a period of time. If you are expecting to be chased, for some weird-ass reason, you can take the strategy to another level. If you have a firearm, you can target the tires of the Phantom Cruiser out the back of your Suburban. Along with that, you could use something like road spikes, which could be dropped out the back to hopefully disable the vehicle. Or throw Molotov cocktails at the Phantom Cruiser in hopes of destroying it, or at least slow it down. Shooting the engine of the cruiser is pointless, as it's most likely not using it to run anyways. Instead, you should focus all you can on destroying the tires or the axles of the car. While you're destroying the cruiser, have the driver call the relevant authorities to at the very least alert them of your location. Your goal should be to slow down the cruiser enough so you can get off the haunted stretch of the road and escape, or have authorities catch the car while you are fleeing. This is significantly harder to survive than the others listed thus far. However, I do not think it is completely undoable. Next up, we have SCP-3456, also known as the Arcadian Horseman. This creature appears to be a horseback rider. However, the rider is entirely fused with the horse, while lacking skin, showing the muscle and fat of the creature. These SCPs typically materialize around areas of great death and tragedy, such as a battlefield in World War I. Similar to that shitty movie that came out in 2018, the creature wants you to see its face, as once you do, it can begin to target you. It will hunt you down relentlessly, until it eventually takes you. However, it is not known what happens after that point. It is shown to not be able to cross water. However, I don't see this as a reliable strategy to escape, as it could eventually find a way around to continue targeting you. The horseman will disappear after hitting a certain body count. However, the exact number is random. I have two ideas as to how you could survive this. The first, and most obvious, is just to wear a blindfold everywhere you go, and to never take it off. This will prevent you from seeing it. However, there's a degree of mind games the creature will play on you to get you to take it off yourself, similar to that shitty movie. If you have a strong resilience to emotional manipulation, just keeping a blindfold on at all times should be enough to keep you safe, so you can live alongside the threat. However, I have another plan that can entirely remove the threat. The idea to get rid of the horseman entirely is a great and well-known, scientifically proven strategy, known as human sacrifice. Yes, I'm being legitimate. If you're in a group, throw the members out without giving them blindfolds, and let the horseman kill them. Eventually, they should leave once they hit the number of required bodies. How exactly you choose to selectively kill these people doesn't really matter to me. This is clearly one of the more dumb solutions, though I don't see how it wouldn't work. Especially if you have the winner of all arguments, known as a fucking gun! Finally, we have SCP-001, also known as When the Day Breaks. This situation is entirely unbeatable, however not unsurvivable. This is a scenario where the sun itself turns into an anomaly, melting anything that comes in contact with its rays, and turning them into a hostile melted creature. These creatures will combine together to form a mass of flesh in agony, with its only goal to hunt down the remaining survivors. However, it is shown that if you exclusively travel at night, while wearing UV protectant clothing, you will be able to move around without getting turned into one of the creatures. However, you would still have to worry about the roaming bands of said creatures whose only goal is to kill you. These things are virtually unkillable, any firearm being entirely useless along with only making more noise to draw them to you. In one of the stories about this scenario, God himself shows up and hurls cars at the creatures, splitting them apart. While this doesn't kill them, this splits them into their smaller, more harmless forms. However, you're not God, because you wouldn't be in this situation if you were, but I can give you the power of God. Napalm is relatively easy to make. I'm not going to tell you how because Susan Wazowski would have my ass in a casket rather quickly. However, all it would take is raiding a gas station and a restaurant supply shop. In theory, this would be able to melt the creatures, not killing them, but enough to split them apart, allowing you an easier escape. However, this situation would require a lot of foresight to even be able to make it to that point, as most people would immediately get vaporized as soon as they open their curtains in the morning, leaving programmers who are just automatically nocturnal as the only ones surviving. Along with that, depending on how late you catch the news, you may be completely left in the dark on what is happening and be pretty much unable to survive in this situation. The only hope is that you're a form of government official who knows what's about to occur, or you caught the news as it began. This situation would be incredibly hard to survive in. However, I don't think it would be an immediate death sentence to someone who knows what they're doing. Okay, well that was a dumb video. I hope you got some form of enjoyment out of it, as I might do more of these since it was fun to make. I'll probably return to streaming in a day or two, so be on the lookout for that.